Hey everyone, I'm Lee. I'm on the order desk here, but more importantly, I'm also one of the many employee investors here at Gregg Distributors. Welcome back to another edition of Gear Up with Greggs. Today we're going to be talking about our line of heavy-duty shock absorbers from Gabriel. Did you know that Gabriel heavy-duty shock absorbers are the shocks the fleet here at Gregg's uses? That's because here at Gregg's, we only use the best. So let's start with the basics. What are shock absorbers and how are they used? Shock absorbers are part of a truck's suspension system, which are made up of its axles, leaf spring, and the shocks, obviously. The shock's purpose within the system is to soften the bumps on the road, reducing the excessive feedback the driver receives. If we want to get real technical, make our physics teachers proud, they're designed to capture the kinetic energy received from the bumps on the road and then release it as thermal energy. As the first law of thermodynamics states, energy cannot be created or destroyed. So the shock absorber converts energy into heat, leading to a smoother ride. It does this by using a piston and some oil. If we look at this example here, we see the piston moving from the impact on the road, forcing oil through the valves within the piston. The speed the oil flows throughout the valves controls the amount of resistance needed. There are other features of a shock absorber like the size of the bore, the type of fluid used, and the fact that some shocks even use gas, which all affect a shock's absorbing characteristics. But I'll get more into that in a bit. First things first, how do you know when to replace your current shock absorbers? Well, Gabriel recommends to replace them every 80,000 kilometers. But when it comes to large fleets that are constantly on the road racking up kilometers, they may need to be serviced sooner than what is recommended. So to be safe, incorporate a routine visual inspection of the shocks for any leaks or damages. But what causes reduction in a shock's absorbency characteristics? Well, a lot of it has to do with heat and cavitation. The constant heating and cooling from everyday use will eventually wear the oil out, causing it to lose its viscosity over time, decreasing the shock's dampening ability. Cavitation occurs when the shock absorbs a large amount of impact, which causes the piston to extend too quickly for the oil to move into the pressure chamber. This creates a pocket of air, or a vacuum, of low pressure, which is where the problem occurs. The vacuum is filled with air that was previously dissolved in the oil. On the return stroke, this air is crushed quickly, creating a shock wave that damages the shock internals like its seals and gaskets. This is why driving over excessively bumpy roads reduces the life of the shocks, in addition to the general wear and tear. When this happens, you'll start to notice signs that the shocks need to be replaced. An obvious tell that your shocks need to be looked at is if you receive excessive feedback from the road. Normally, if the shocks are doing their job properly, they'll absorb the impact and the feedback that the driver receives from the road will be far less noticeable. For larger trucks and trailers that aren't as aerodynamic, you might also notice excessive swaying while driving and leaning when making sharp turns. This is because the shocks have lost their shock absorbing ability over time, compromising their ability to respond to weight transfer, which puts a hamper on the driver's ability to control the vehicle. Another important sign to look for is uneven or premature tread wear. This is caused by the shock's inability to control the suspension, which causes excessive bouncing, leading to tread wear. The next sign to look for is especially important during the winter season. Ice, snow, grit, and debris can cause damage within the piston seal. When the seal is broken, fluid may leak and compromise the shock's ability to control the vehicle because it doesn't have the proper amount of oil to disperse the heat properly. When this happens, you'll notice a thick coat of grime mixed with the leaked oil compared to one in good condition with minor dirt and debris. If you observe this, you'll want to take it in to be inspected immediately because a damaged seal can cause further damage to the shock absorbers and in some case, damage to the truck suspension. There are numerous other signs, but these are the most common when it comes to shock absorbers that need to be replaced. It is important not to ignore these warnings, as broken shocks can have some dangerous consequences. Now that we know some of the most common signs of worn-out shocks, how do you go about deciding what shocks to buy? Well, to start off, shocks are organized by the weight of the truck they're intended to be used on, the type of suspension the truck has, and the truck's intended use. We carry 4 lines of Gabriel shock absorbers here at Gregg's, designed specifically for trucks, trailers, and buses. For lightweight trucks with heavy front suspension that are going to be primarily used for delivery, the 83,000 series with the 1 3/8 inch bore would be the proper choice. The size of the bore, which I mentioned earlier, is important to a shock absorber's functionality because it is the shell that protects the piston, which affects the strength and durability of the shock. The series features the thinnest bore, but is still capable of withstanding large amounts of impact, making the shocks perfect for lighter trucks. So whether you're driving through a busy downtown or bumping along a gravel road in the country, you can trust in the durability of this small, compact series. For trucks and trailers with low friction suspensions, weighing between 19,500 pounds and 33,000 pounds, the 85,000 series is going to be your best choice. With a thicker 1 5/8 inch bore and a larger design, this series has more durability and fluid capacity to keep up with the heavier payloads and harsh road conditions. The next series is the 85,700 series, which is designed for heavy trucks and buses. This series features a patented triple lip nitrile rod seal, as seen here, which provides extra protection and fluid retention compared to others in the industry that only use nylon braided seals. Since the shocks are going to be used for trucks and buses, you'll want the strongest seal possible. The fluids used in this series are custom blended with a high temperature resistance to withstand extreme pressures that would normally break down standard shock absorber oils. All this translates to more time on the road and less time in the shop. Last is the 89,000 Gas LX series. These shock absorbers are designed for long life commercial trucks weighing 26,000 to 33,000 pounds. The thing that makes this series different is that this series uses gas contained in separate chambers. The gas aids the oil to withstand large amounts of impact by providing an extra cushion. As we see here, when the piston forces oil through the valves, it is slowed by the gas, providing extra shock absorbing capabilities, which is why they are meant for heavy-duty commercial trucks. The addition of gas takes pressure off of the oil to absorb the majority of the impact, thus reducing the effects of cavitation, leading to a longer lifespan of the shock. It is important to note, even though cavitation isn't as much of an issue with gas shocks, an effect known as aeration can still occur. Aeration causes the fluid to foam when the oil and gas mix in the gas reservoir, causing the oil to lose its viscous nature. This happens over a longer period of time and is part of the standard wear and tear for gas shocks. No shock can be perfect, but the Gas LX from Gabriel will keep your truck shocks maintenance-free for long periods. There are also 3 adjustable settings on how firm the shocks can be set: regular, firm, and extra firm. Depending on the intended use of your truck, you'll want to choose the setting accordingly. That about does it for shock absorbers. Hopefully you were all able to absorb all that information so you can shock all your friends with what you learned. If you have any questions, please feel free to come into any of our locations or give us a call and one of our friendly customer service staff will be happy to help you out. If you like this video, then hit that thumbs up. And if you want to keep learning with us, hit that subscribe button. For all of us here at Gregg's, have a wonderfully Canadian day.